As a brown person, you just feel so invisible.
Black lives, not fiction.
Where we're from. Brothers and sisters, I welcome you to this joyful day.
We celebrate freedom.
Where we are.
Get on the ground.
I know someone heard something.
And where we're going.
We the people means all the people.
The Black Information Network presents Blackland with your host, Vanessa Tyler.
Welcome to Blackland. We are living in strange times. Some Black people worry about efforts to turn back the clock. There was a time Black people were really in a struggle to survive. But there were some Black people who did more than survive. They thrived. They were wealthy before emancipation, a fact well documented in the book, Wealthy Blacks Before the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863. Kimberly Jones is the author. Kimberly, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell me about these wealthy Blacks.
So they went in a variety of ways to gain their wealth, and they were actually wealthy, and it's documented. And I made sure, one of the things I made sure, if I could, I found newspaper articles on some of them. Wow. This was like 1863 or 1861. And I was able to find their advertisements, and I was really excited about that.
Exciting and eye-opening. Author Kimberly Jones profiles 18 Blacks in her book. She stopped with 18. She could have profiled more. People like Robert Gordon, who became wealthy by picking up the scraps of coal the white man who enslaved him didn't want.
So he would pick it up, put it in the bag, and go sell it. So he finally sold enough to purchase his own freedom, and he ended up moving to Cincinnati, Ohio, where he opened up his own coal business.
Gordon and other free Blacks in Cincinnati, Ohio, were brilliant enough to hedge against vengeful, hateful, jealous whites. They created what they called the Iron Chest Company, sort of like a bank and insurance company combined, where they saved money to help Black business owners quickly rebuild from the frequent white vandalism, something that happened to Henry Boyd a lot. He created, designed, and built the four-poster bed frame, a design used to this day, and one of the wealthy Blacks profiled in her book.
He was able to create the bedpost, and so they wouldn't allow him to have his patent. So he kept trying to get his patent. And once they found out he was a Black man, he was rejected. So what he started doing for his bedpost, he started carving in his initials so people will know that's his product. They would come and burn down his business. So again, this is when the iron chest came into play. He was one of those who, had to have assistance from the iron chest to help him rebuild his business.
Wealthy Blacks before the Emancipation Proclamation were not just men. There were women, too.
Elizabeth Keckley, she was enslaved in North Carolina. She was an awesome seamstress. So she began to make dresses. Her mother taught her how to make gowns and dresses. And she began to sew enough dresses to purchase her freedom. When she purchased her freedom, she moved to Washington, D.C. And she was the fashion designer for Mary Todd Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln's wife. She made all the dresses for the women in Washington, D.C. at that time, and that's how she was able to gain her wealth.
Imagine the obstacles. Again, this was before emancipation, and those who were free were never, ever guaranteed peace, like Cynthia Hesdra, who had to always look over her shoulder.
She owned several laundry businesses. And so they said her father did first, and her father taught her the skill, the entrepreneurship. He had the entrepreneurship spirit. And so her father taught her everything. So unfortunately, she was captured, taken to the South, and she was able to manage, however she did it, she was able to get her way back to the North in New York. and she started back up her businesses. So she had all these several different businesses around New York and New Jersey area. And when she passed away, it's in her estate, which was, I think, 1890, was the newspaper article for the court order. It stated that she had over $100,000 in her estate. So you can imagine what that would be now.
Many of the wealthy blacks had between $100,000 and $200,000, a king's ransom at that time. People like Stephen Smith.
He was out of Philadelphia, and Stephen Smith had a lumber company in Philadelphia. Stephen Smith also, if you go to Cape May, New Jersey, he had a summer home. And it says on the historical marker of the summer home that the summer home was built, I want to say, in 1846. So not only did he have a home in Philadelphia, but during the summer months, he would go to Cape May, New Jersey.
Another wealthy black, Thomas Downing. He had an oyster shop in New York. People would stop in from all around the world.
Let me tell you who was able to go to Thomas Downing's business. Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens came from, another country, and he made sure that he visited Thomas Downing's restaurant.
Was there a unique characteristic in a line connecting all these people you researched that made them want to do this in light of every other Black person still enslaved?
I think it was determination, and it was their permission not to be defined by society. They defined their own destiny.
The worst incident of racial violence in American history, the hate-filled 1921 Tulsa Massacre. Days before the Biden administration left office, Assistant Attorney General, African-American Kristen Clarke, who headed the DOJ's Civil Rights Division, delivered this report.
The Justice Department has issued a new report on the Tulsa Race Massacre. The 123-page report documents the findings made during a review and evaluation of the massacre conducted under the Emmett Till Unsolved Civil Rights Crimes Act. The Tulsa Race Massacre stands out as a civil rights crime, unique in its magnitude, barbarity, racist hostility, and its utter annihilation of a thriving Black community. In 1921, white Tulsans murdered hundreds of residents of Greenwood, burned their homes and churches, looted their belongings, and locked the survivors in internment camps. Until this day, the Justice Department has not spoken publicly about the race massacre or officially accounted for the horrific events that transpired in Tulsa. This report breaks that silence through a rigorous examination and a full accounting of one of the darkest episodes of our nation's past. The report lays bare new information and shows that the massacre was the result not of uncontrolled mob violence, but of a coordinated military-style attack on Greenwood. Now, more than 100 years later, there is no living perpetrator for the Justice Department to prosecute. But the historical reckoning for the massacre continues. This report reflects our commitment to the pursuit of justice and truth, even in the face of insurmountable obstacles. We issue this report in recognition of the courageous survivors who continue to share their testimonies, in acknowledgement of those who tragically lost their lives, and with appreciation for other affected individuals and advocates who collectively push us to never forget this tragic chapter of American history.
Ironically, author Kimberly Jones is from Tulsa, and the reason she wrote her book, Wealthy Blacks Before Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, is because she never knew what happened in her own backyard.
I was so upset. I was really, really upset because I said, why didn't I know about all these people? And I don't know if I was upset with the school system. I don't know if I was upset with the neighborhoods or the community I grew up in, because I knew nothing, just barely minimum about Black history. And yes, I was one of those people. I'm in Oklahoma, grew up here almost all my life. I was one of those people who did not know about the Tulsa Race Massacre. It goes back to whose responsibility is it to share our stories? You go,
And do we have an answer for that? Because schools are not going and teaching Black history to the extent of this. I mean, we know, of course, and respect Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks,
right.
but there were others.
Yes.
And I think more importantly, there were others during slavery,
Yes.
which at a time, many of us must think to ourselves, I know there was a fight. I know they all just didn't go with slavery. There were
Right.
people who were fighting back, and we need to know who those people are.
Right. And these individuals, not only did they fight back, but they gained their freedom as well as financial freedom.
Do you think kids in school ever learn about these amazing men and women in our history?
It will be up to us. It will be up to us because it's going to be up to us to take stories like this out of the hidden textbooks, out of the research, and out of the old court cases, and out of the old newspapers, and kind of, sew them together like a quilt, and like this book is sewn together like a quilt, and present these stories to these students because they won't know. They won't know. I tell people, I said, listen, I will teach Black history from under a tree if I have to. I said, because we need to know this information. Some way, somehow, we're going to have to rethink and make sure the kids have access to the information at home. Because there is a strategy that others are using to wipe out our rich history, but we have to somehow creatively keep that rich history alive. But I really think, just like these individuals, how God just made a way for them, I think he will make a way for us because God is bigger than all of this.
The book, Wealthy Blacks Before the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, can be found on Amazon.
When you think of slavery, you don't think of people actually escaping slavery and becoming wealthy.
Kimberly Jones, thank you so much for the education.
I'm Vanessa Tyler. Don't miss an episode of Blackland. A new one drops every week. Be sure to like and subscribe.